Shoot. Recorded live.
Hi, how you guys doing? My name is Will. Welcome to Moto IQ Radio. We have a very, very cool show this evening. For those of you who are really into personal branding, this first segment is going to be all for you. If you're a driver who is looking to make that move up and looking to figure out ways to leverage social media and all those other cool aspects that are helping a lot of people out there on the internet make their moves up, this will be a very, very cool show. First, I want to talk about the North American Festival of Speed. Some very cool things are going to be going down the weekend immediately following after SEMA. Some very cool stuff, so definitely go check it out. They're going to be running under the lights, which is going to be pretty sweet. Moto IQ is going to be there, and it looks like drifting demos will be going on during that weekend, so definitely go check out speedfest.us and see what they got going on over there. New stuff's coming out every day or usually every week with new updates on what they're going to be doing over there. Also, Subi Jam 2011 will be hosted by the North American Festival of Speed. But let's jump straight in here. We have Chris Rhoad on from Studio Rhoad Marketing, Motorsports Marketing and Design. We're going to go deep tonight, so hopefully you guys will enjoy this and really learn a lot about it. Chris.
What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. This interview is sort of a long time coming. We've been sort of working on details and trying to make all this work and scheduling and the whole nine. But I'm really, really excited about this because this is a topic that I am currently trying to work on myself. So I guess, let's sort of jump straight into it. Well, first, let's talk a little bit about yourself and sort of how you sort of came to where you are with Studio Rhoad Motorsports Marketing and Design.
Basically started in 2001. 2001, and went to school in Atlanta for graphic design. Long story short, that morphed into more of an advertising aspect of it, jumping into social media and whatnot. And since been pretty involved in motorsports for a while, both in front of the clipboard, behind the wheel type of thing, hosted events, race cars, that type of deal. So I'd like to combine both of them into one. They always say, do what you love. I love racing, I love design, I love advertising. So I made the choice to combine them all into one, and that's kind of what I'm doing.
Very nice. So I guess let's just go straight in. Personal branding, can you define that for us and sort of how it's evolved over the years? I think a lot of it has to do with the internet, but can you sort of tell us what personal branding is and sort of why it's important these days?
Oh yeah, definitely. If you wanted to more or less categorize personal branding as a definition, or speak it as a definition, I would say it's kind of the process of creating or a mark or an identity around your name.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You can use that identity or that mark to express and communicate your skills, personality, and values around what you want to do.
Okay, so I guess sort of taking, corporate style branding over a logo, a product, or an idea, or, a service, and creating a brand around that has sort of now trickled down, or for the most part, all it was. Movie stars, athletes, and stuff like that, they had to develop a personal brand. And so now it's sort of incumbent upon people who are really trying to make that next step to look into how to develop a personal brand and branding themselves as sort of a package. So what are some of the components of a brand?
Well, to kind of take a step back, you're absolutely right. If you were to take NASCAR, for example, minus the politics of NASCAR itself, but taking NASCAR, for example, well, what is the strongest brand at a NASCAR event? It's the people. It's the drivers. Those are what people follow. When you walk around a NASCAR event, what are the shirts that you see? 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a Dale Earnhardt shirt. It's going to be a Jeff Gordon shirt. It's not necessarily a Tide shirt or a Monster shirt per se. It's the actual driver. So the driver has that personal brand, and that's what you need to create as a driver. It's kind of a misconception that winning races is what it takes to get a sponsor. Sure, it's important. You want to be able to get seen for the sponsors and whatnot, but that's not the most important thing. For example, when was the last time Dale Earnhardt Jr. won a race? Most of us can't even remember.
Yeah, I would be able to tell you. I don't really follow NASCAR, but I do know. But see, that's a strong point, because I know I kind of know where you're about to go. But I know who Dale Earnhardt is. I know who Dale Earnhardt Jr. is. If I saw him, I would know who that is, and that has directly relates to his personal brand outside of NASCAR. Like I mean, I've seen him drive, and I've seen pictures with him sort of, right next to the car he drives, but, I couldn't tell you what number it was. I mean, I could tell you his dad's number, but I couldn't say what his number is on. I couldn't tell you who sponsors are these days, but I do know what he looks like and associate the name with the face. And so for people who are necessarily in the NASCAR, for him to have that reach to outside NASCAR, I think says something strong about his personal branding and how that has worked over the years.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the idea behind this whole thing, is creating that personal brand, is to more or less create a community around yourself, not necessarily not necessarily for the sponsors themselves, but the more that you're noticed and the more that you're seen as a driver, the bigger community that you have around you, the more important you are to a sponsor.
Okay.
You still want to win races, but all right, take this for example. I went and talked to the guys at Excess Power. The guys at Excess Power make high-performance batteries. They do drag racing, a lot of off-road racing, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
And ask them about their sponsorship stuff. They get anywhere from 10,000 to 20,000 sponsorship proposals a year. And for the most part, that's a pretty good amount. But the thing that struck me as surprising was that most of them that they received were nothing more than an email. And if they were lucky, they received pictures of the car. But for the most part,
really,
it was just, for the most part, and when I say most part, I mean we're talking 90, 95% of these things, was just an email to them saying, hey, I need some free crap, send it to me. And that's not how it's supposed to go.
Right.
So.
Well, it's interesting, because I've never walked that path of trying to apply for sponsorships, but I can see where if you already, are and not even necessarily established as a driver, but maybe you are, you're becoming a more established builder. Like you build really solid cars that are very well done and very complete, and you have a portfolio of pictures that you already built. I mean, that's pretty much like almost a given for anybody that's approaching any company for parts. But I can see how, like you said, 90-95% are just an email saying, hey, I'm building this car, no photos. Is there any way I could get a battery from you guys, and I'll put you on my car, and that's pretty much the end of the email, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And it's it's kind of sad, to be honest with you, man. But it's really and most of them, to expand on that, all of them were the same thing. Even though it was a small email, all of them were the same thing. Here's my car. Here's how much money I have into it. Here's all the crap that I've won, all the races that I've won, blah, 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 blah. It's all the same thing. So it's kind of like applying for a job. Everybody applies for their job with a resume, a paper resume, or an email resume, right? Well, that's where that ends up, in a big pile with everybody else. So what are you going to do to separate yourself from the other drivers to that sponsor?
Right.
And I'll give, for those that are listening, I'm going to, if you'll watch the chat, those of you that are in the chat, you'll see that Drifter Mama will post some links here in a minute. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to give you an idea of what you can do.
All right, so go ahead.
Okay.
No, I was going to say, go ahead.
I did a resume. And since I'm very involved in motorsports and design and stuff, I combined the two again. I took a kart tire, a go-kart tire, and printed out some vinyl graphics with my name, contact information, blah, blah, blah. And I stuck it around the tire, and I glued it or adhered it to the tire, clear-coated it. And then I took a CD, and I printed out a CD label that looked like a wheel, put my resume and portfolio on the wheel, and made a resume out of this car tire. And that's something that really stood out to the people that I gave it to.
Mm-hmm.
So taking that in mind, when these guys go for sponsorships and stuff, you can't just send an email. You just can't send pictures. You just can't send, here's what I've done, here's the races that I've won. You really, really need to stand out, and you need to put forth the effort to do that. You're essentially applying for a job. So take forth the effort, be a little creative with it, and put something together. You won't be able to put out as many resumes, but those resumes will be much, much higher quality. You'll really stand out, and you'll have more eyeballs on it, rather than some guy just flipping through a stack of papers saying, I don't feel like doing this, when's 5 o'clock coming? I'm out.
Wow.
So, and, that could spawn into videos as well.
Okay.
Again, going back to Excess Power, they don't have a lot of time to look through those things, nor do I blame them.
Right.
So how do you get across the most information about you, what you can provide, et cetera, in a very short amount of time? It's video.
Right.
So people, drivers, whatever stage they're at, they can put together a very short 3 to 5 minute clip of themselves and how they're, what they do, what they can provide the sponsor, and they can provide that to the sponsor as their proposal. And do you know Andy Sapp by chance out of Atlanta?
Andy Sapp sounds crazy familiar, but I'm sure if you tell me more about him, go ahead.
Old school guy. He was in Formula D when it first started coming out.
Right.
He maintained a BMW 325i, very underpowered, but the man, he had skills.
Right.
Did really well, and he produced what I consider the ideal sponsorship proposal.
Okay.
He put together a DVD with a video on it. I think it was 7 minutes, if I remember correctly. Put together a video, put together a nice, well-designed DVD case, the DVD cover, and a CD label. And he sent that out. And it got him places. He was able to get some stuff for it. That's what, in my opinion, from what I've seen in my experience, that's what drivers need to do to get noticed. And I'm sure if anybody's listening to this that runs a business, especially in the motorsports realm, they may, I would assume they would agree with me that, they probably see a lot of these generic fly-by-night, proposals that they don't really care about, Why would they give somebody product, or anything for that matter, based on that when they're not even willing to put forth the effort into a good resume or a proposal,
Right.
So I guess in short, drivers that are really wanting to get proposals or get sponsorships rather, I hear a lot of them bitch and moan about it because they can't get them all. I'm the greatest driver alive, but I can't get anything. Well, put forth a little bit of effort into getting that stuff,
Right. Well, I mean, maybe it's one of those things where they haven't come across personal branding as sort of a tool to allow them to get to the next level. Maybe they are missing that crucial piece of what it's going to take to really give them that next shot at the next spot. I mean, you can only go so far with skill, but if you're running out of resources, especially to keep your car up and keep you on the road, you're not going to get the exposure that you're going to need. And so I see personal branding as being crucial for anybody, especially myself, who, is somebody that, started podcasting just to see what was going on. I had heard, 10 or 20 different podcasts I listen to on a regular basis. And one of the things that I'm starting to hear more and more now is personal branding. And not so much, on the face of it, personal brand. They don't really call it that, but it's more of creating, like you said, a community around the product that you're putting out and yourself. So I would expect the driver who maybe they're, in the Pro-Am, or maybe they're just at this point in time just doing, for example, drifting weekends. They're just getting out there, but they're really passionate about it. They have some skill, but the next step that, besides getting their hands on some parts, is really getting that exposure, and the parts and exposure would help the operator of the vehicle do better, and that can also give them better opportunities going forward. So what would you say would be the first thing for somebody who's about to embark on this path? And I don't want to give away the whole cow at this point, because you do have a company, and that's what you do, is you do motorsports marketing. You do help drivers or personalities develop their own personal brand. So I guess let's not give away the whole cow. Let's talk about step one. What's the first thing that they should do?
Since most of the guys that I've come across and experienced they come across a decision. A, do I put money in a car? Or B, do I put money in a website, branding, personal branding, et cetera, et cetera? 9 times out of 10, the money's going in the car, nor do I blame them. So that brings up the question, how do you build a personal brand without sacrificing the finances to the car or to your campaign?
Right.
Simple solution to that is something that anybody that's in drifting probably knows this guy's name. His name's Nate Hamilton. And I discovered Nate Hamilton, not personally, but I came across Nate Hamilton last year. And I came across him via a video on Vimeo. And it was very simply done. All he did was take a couple of his buddies that were already helping him with his campaign throughout these multiple drift events, and they would videotape him. They would document his experience from the time they left the house to the time he went to the event to the time they got back. And they actually created a mini TV series, if you want to call it that.
Nice.
And if Amanda Drifter Mama is on the ball, she's probably put a link in the old chat room for us.
She did.
Videos. Okay, cool. So that's a very, very low overhead that people could do, is to grab a camera. It doesn't have to be super high quality. You don't have to drop $5,000 into some Sony HD camera, because it's not about the quality. It's about the content itself. That's what you're trying to create, is good quality content, something that somebody can get involved with. You reach out to them and you connect with them in a way. So grab a camera, have a friend go with you, and have them record everything. And then after, when you get home, you take the next night and you put together a quick video. You put it on YouTube, you put it on Vimeo, you put it on Facebook, you put it on Twitter, et cetera, and you put it out there, and people will find you. I think Nate did go through a whole season before people actually started to find that video. But now, me and others, I'm hooked. It's like a TV show to me. I'm hooked on it. So, but because of that, he's creating a community around him. And because he's creating a community, he's more useful and more beneficial to his sponsors, who is NOS Energy Drink. He's creating, exposure to him that he otherwise wouldn't have found purely going to the track. So it all comes full circle. You can't just be a good driver. You've got to create a community and get exposure out there in all the ways that you possibly can. And the way with social media is going and online stuff, it's far easier, far cheaper to do that via social media and Vimeo, Facebook, and YouTube and Twitter. So it's very little to no overhead whatsoever, other than time. That's it. So as a first step, to answer your question, that's the way I would go. After that, once you get something, you can always jump into a personal logo. You can jump into websites and social media, which is a topic all in itself. Which I believe Drifter Mama is going to be jumping in on that in a later show. She'll be talking about the social media aspect of this. That can get pretty deep pretty quick, but
most definitely. Next week is going to be Amanda Martin. We're going to talk about social media, and I think we're going to try and get into a little bit of female racing news, but that's next week. So everybody, check in for that. Okay, so I guess what you would say is, for the most part, try and generate some sort of content. Video is usually the best, but I guess you would recommend, go for whatever's free first, right? YouTube's free. You just got to put the video up there. Vimeo's free. You got to put the video up there. Twitter account, that's free. Facebook, that's free. Right? Start there.
Absolutely. There's no overhead. You just got to invest a little bit of time. You invest
Right.
in the car. You need to invest time into backing up the car. You need to invest time in yourself and your brand. And it's all free,
Right.
so why not? The average person spends an hour a day on Facebook.
Right.
If you're like most of the friends I know, you're on there for 4 hours a day. But, nevertheless, statistically speaking, an hour a day, use some of that time to build on yourself. Create a fan page.
Right.
One of my drivers, Beth Chris, she just created a fan page, already got a couple hundred fans. That's what you need to do. You need to jump in there, create a fan page, jump out to your fans, and start building that community. Yeah, you can have your personal page. There's limitations to that.
Yep.
Amanda might talk about that later. There are limitations to it. It's a good jump-off point.
Yep.
But if you really want to take it seriously, go the business route. Go get a fan page. Go get a business Twitter account, or just a Twitter account in general.
Right.
And start building it, and then build from there. Once you start building a larger community, then you can start investing money into it. Go get a website. Go get a better camera. Go get a personal logo if you feel that you need one. Start investing money into it, and ultimately you'll create that personal brand around yourself, and it'll work out for you. And you'll seem more professional to the sponsors that you're trying to reach out to.
Right. And I guess by also doing that, the people that are looking for the drivers, the companies, the shops, the people with, the resources that you need, they might actually find you, which makes your job a whole lot easier if they do actually come to you.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's one of the cooler things about it is, if you're out there creating content, and I mean, yes, keeping personal branding at the forefront of your brain as like, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to create a brand around me, but also at the same time, you can have fun with it. I can't imagine a drifter not having fun, going out there with his buddies, shooting awesome video, getting some wicked, some wicked shots. And then you make a video of it, and, best case scenario is you send to all your friends, and they have a great time with it, and they share it with their friends. But eventually, if you're lucky, it's going to wind up in the hands of somebody that can actually make a decision, and somebody that can write you a check.
Absolutely, and that's the ultimate goal. That's what most of us want to end up doing. We want to be professional drivers. We want to make a living at it. James Kirkham is a great example. James Kirkham put a video out, I think it was last year. He was trying to raise funds to go race to a particular race. Put out a series of really good videos. All he did was point a camera at himself, and he talked to the camera. That was it. Nothing fancy. He asked for people's help. He went to the community for help, raised a little bit of funds, not quite enough to go racing, but it went to it was a good start. It went to he was able to use that money to invest into his racing campaign, and it ultimately did help him out. That was money that he didn't have before the campaign, so it was a win. Even though it didn't quite get to the level he wanted it to, it still helped him out quite a bit. And I think Amanda probably put a link to the videos as well. Okay, so
She's definitely rocking it out.
I'm trying.
That's cool. So let's say step 2. We'll do step 2, step 3. Give me step 2.
I kind of went through all the steps.
Oh, yeah, you did. That's true. That is true. Yeah, that is true. Not necessarily giving away the whole cow, but there are more tips and tricks within there, and if people are going to contact you, they got to make that happen. So I guess, who would you say, just as an example, the drivers that have the strongest brand that you think our audience might recognize?
If I had to pick one driver, there's several that pop into mind. Nate Hamilton and James Kirkham come to mind, but I think one that we're all familiar with would have to be Ken Block. We all know why he's popular. We all know why he's famous.
Right.
He created a fantastic personal brand around himself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. From what I've seen, there might be others out there. From my personal experience, he's probably got one of the best that I have seen. He did it right. He's doing it right. He's got the personal brand, and he's selling product by using that personal brand.
Yep.
What more can you ask for?
No, exactly, and that's a strong point. I honestly, prior to the Gymkhana video number 1. I might have heard his name. I might have had an idea of who he was and what he did and his relationship with DC Shoes, but that might have been about it. But after that video, that was it. You know, you had to know who he was, and at the least, you knew that he was a guy that got into rallying, had a great time, and then next thing you know, he popped that video out, and that was it.
Yeah.
You know,
and that was
I mean, it's that was. I mean, I think for the most part, I don't even think he might have had that in his mind what was going to come directly after that. Besides it, having like a views, he realized how big it was going to be, and what that was going to do for him and his brand, which is pretty amazing. So let's see. Look at the next question here. I think we really nailed them all. Wow, we really kind of knocked that out. I mean, okay, so I guess let's talk about where can people go to you if they want to talk to you about possibly you helping them out in building their personal brand.
I mean, I know we didn't have a great amount of time to talk about it tonight, and that's totally cool, man. I can't thank you guys and the guys at Moto IQ enough for having us on to let me at least help the community a little bit, kind of give some kind of hint as to some kind of direction to help people out. At least some of the people. Other people, they know what they're doing, but either way, if anybody has any questions, I am more than willing to answer them. You can email me at chris@studioroad.com. That's studio, RHOAD.com. There's always Twitter, at Studio Road, spelled the same way. And, I'll answer whatever I can.
Very cool. And for everybody that's, going to be checking this out post the live show, I'm still looking to see if, let me see here, if I do not have Ken Namimatsu from FXMD a little bit. So let's go to the chat room, see if we can get a few questions while I wait to see if he's gonna call in here. Does anybody in the chat room have any questions? Let's talk about the design aspect while those questions are coming up. What sort of design services would you be offering somebody to help develop their personal brand? I see somebody's commenting on the Hero card, which is was new to me. I didn't really know what it was called. I just thought it was just a card that had all the stats on there. But the Hero card. Yeah. So I mean, give us the particulars on the design.
I mean, that's probably the first thing people go and grab, more so than a website or logo or anything like that. They want a Hero card. It's kind of like a headshot for an actress or an actor. You like you said, it's a miniature broken down resume of sorts of you as a professional driver or athlete in general. And rather than, well, it kind of serves as two purposes. One, it's kind of like a business card in a way. But two, and I have an example for this, is you can use it to kind of, use it as a marketing tool other than a business card, and I'll explain that further. And I'm not going to say her name, but there's a local girl here in the Southeast that has created an enormous amount of hype around her. What's funny about that is that nobody within the, how can I put this, motorsports category that she's in knows who she is. Oh. Nobody. Yeah. But the people that are following her, I went to an event, I went to a race, and I was walking through the paddock, and on more than one occasion, I heard people, kids, adults alike, saying, I want to go take pictures with the girl driver. I'm not going to say specifics. Girl driver.
Right.
And ultimately what happened was she literally had a booth set up, and she was taking pictures with kids, signing Hero cards that she had made, and just having a good old time. And now, I'm not knocking her because it's exactly what you're supposed to do.
Right.
But there's a bit of a poser aspect there, to be honest with you, for this particular person. But she she's creating exactly what people need to do. If you are not, but if you're an authentic racer, like you are hardcore,
right.
you're not just being there to be there because you say you want to be there, or just, I think that's him. He just chime in.
Yeah. Yeah, hold on one sec.
Yeah.
Hey, Ken, is that you?
Yeah, it's me. Is this Will?
Yeah, this is Will. I'm currently on with Chris right now. Can you hold on for 1 second? I'll go to you in a minute, okay?
Yeah, no problem, buddy.
All right, so that was Ken. So he's still on, but, go ahead, Chris. Finish up.
All right, just sum up. She created an enormous amount of hype around herself, and she did it the right way. She got hero cards. She created a booth at these events, and she really went out to the community. She started taking pictures with the kids, taking pictures with the adults, just really bringing the community into her rather than going out and finding them. They came and found her.
Right.
And in that aspect, it was fantastic. That's what you're supposed to do. So
right.
that was the way that she used hero cards, was she would autograph them. She'd take a picture with the kids, holding the autograph card, and she'd carry on. And
very nice.
Yeah, it worked for her. And,
there's another question which I think is pretty important. Who would you say is the person? Who do you pitch your sponsorship to? Like, who do you email your sponsorship request to at a company? The PR head, somebody at HR, marketing. Who would you say would be the best, or two or three best people would be the people to go to when you are trying to approach a company for sponsorship?
public relations or some kind of general manager of some kind. The higher up you can go, the better.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Here's another question. How can you balance using a unique aspect of yourself, i.e. being female, without having it become everything about you?
Say that again?
Basically, how do you play up, like, for example, how do you play up being a female racer without it sort of being a female racer? Like, how do you balance those two things? Like, yes, I'm a female, but I'm also a very accomplished racer without it being a female racer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally. That's a tough one, and I say it's a tough one because that's one we're working with a current client of ours. It's most of the time that, from what we've seen, is that the woman goes for, I'm a woman, you should sponsor me because I'm a woman. And
right.
Unfortunately, for some, it works.
Right.
Danica Patrick, when was the last time she won a race? Not very soon, or recently. And the one that she did race was a gas mileage race. So, it's kind of tough to really nail down what to do. However, whoever that person is needs to be themselves. Like, if you create a persona around you and that persona is fake, people have a very good, excuse my French, bullshit meter. They will see right through you. And if they see through you, you're done. So you need to be yourself. Create a persona and that brand around you. Who are you? You do that. It may take you a little longer to get to the point that you are, but when you get there, you'll stay there. You won't be knocked down because people found out who you really are. So
nice.
To use yourself as the standing, as this foundation. You should do that anyway, just through life in general. But use that and build on it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, and I try to support the ladies in our industry. Lisa Kubo, Michelle Abadi, Carrie Ann De La Cruz, and soon to be Amanda Martin. I want to support the females in our industry because they add a whole different aspect to the things that we do, which is quite a very predominantly male sort of segment of the industry. But as it relates to motorsports, I think women are on the come up, and I think they're out there, and I think they deserve a little bit of spotlight. And so give us again the details for how we can get in contact with you about either just questions or possibly working with you for you to build their personal brand.
Certainly. Email chris@studioroad.com, and Twitter is Studio Road as well. We're on Facebook. Right now we have 2 Facebook accounts, which I'm not going to get into, but just do a search for Studio Road. Look for the Facebook fan page rather than the profile page.
Right.
Got any questions, I will be more than happy to answer them best I can.
Yep, very, very cool. So Studio Rhoad, that's RHOAD.com, at Studio Rhoad, spelled the same way, Chris at StudioRhoad.com. Definitely hit him up. Personal branding is very important, and, I'm going to take some lessons from this guy and see if I can expand my brand a little bit and see if I can take my stuff to the next level. So everybody, definitely go check him out. Hit him up on Facebook, facebook.com/pages/Studio Rhoad. Go search for it. It'll pop right up. Chris, man, I appreciate you coming on the show. Maybe we'll do this again in a little bit in the future. A little bit different topic, same theme, but maybe just sort of what's new, tool for the personal brand that people can go check out.
Yeah, certainly. Maybe next time we can go more of the company/business route.
Definitely. Let's do that. Everybody, Chris Rhoad from Studio Rhoad, Motorsports Marketing and Design. Thanks for coming on, Chris.
Thanks, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
Bye, peace.